Welcome back to the competitive sports series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Who's up there on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NVR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. It is another round. It is another beautiful time to be alive. And it is a beautiful time to be alongside the lovely Frostbreath once more. It is round 3? 4? No.
4.
See, it's
so close.
This is what happens.
Hey, it's been 3 weeks, so no worries.
But we are back, and it is absolutely beautiful to be back. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about. It's been pretty crazy. It has been a brilliant few weeks. This is our first race back after the winter, isn't it? Yep, I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it's been a good few weeks. Hope you've all had a good Christmas. Let's get that one out of the way nice and early. We've got
Happy New Year.
Indeed.
Etc.
Etc. Etc. We've got a bit of a treat for you tonight, as we have got, obviously, as always, a full lobby, and we head to the Bahrain International Circuit for that 4th round. And yes, we are back. It is back to racing, but obviously there's been a few moves over this kind of winter break, if you want to call it that, I suppose. Is in essence. So yeah, I mean, few moves. I think the big one though, 610.
610. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really follow the moves here and left and right, so you're probably more knowledgeable about it than I am.
I see. I don't really know that much either, so we'll kind of wing it a little bit when we talk about who's moving where, but there have been moves, and I think that's the important thing. Is we get to this point in the season, we've had a few rounds. Some teams are going to be happy with the drivers they've had and not want to change things. Others, they're going to be looking at their lineup and going, "This ain't it. We need to make a change here." So yeah, definitely we've got changes, which should hopefully bring things a little bit closer together, I would have thought.
Yeah, speaking of lineups, I'm looking at the top 2 teams. So they are equal on points, by the way, in the standings, FVR and TF10. And both of them have got a nearly 50-point gap to NLR, which are currently 3rd in the standings. The top teams having brought Diego Zorzo, of course a familiar name for the team, alongside Thomas Lang in the Mercedes cars. And then for TF10, we've got old reliable Mark Schluter alongside Cloud65, because he's got these fancy Roman numbers in his name. A bit of an unknown for me at the very least, so let's see what he can bring to the table for the team. They do need to start to make a proper fight back to FVR to have a chance this season, though. They are equal on points right now, which they've done brilliantly so far. But last season, they were edged out pretty much by the Mercedes team, so let's see what they can do. It's only 4 rounds in, but I'm pretty excited to see what they can do from this point onwards.
Yeah, pretty much summed it up very nicely there. And qualifying is about to get underway. We've literally got just a couple of seconds, and then we should be able to take you trackside to the Bahrain International Circuit for the start of round number 4. And, you know, we're now at kind of that 3rd point in the season. We're a 3rd of the way through. We've still got 8 rounds to go, but now we're beginning to get an idea as to who's hot and who's not. You know, and I think there are a few teams that will be a little bit disappointed at this point in the season, but now we've had a winter break, is a time for them to have a bit of a reset and see what can come of the rest of this season. And speaking of the rest of this season, let's get that underway. Let's take you trackside, qualifying, getting underway.
Here we go. Yeah, I think the team most disappointed at the moment will be VRM. I mean, they've got some very fast drivers, but they're only 9th in the standings and just barely ahead of EVE, which is last at the moment. So tonight they've brought Tristan Debecourt and Jeremy Gallagher once again in the McLaren cars, and they are looking to make a proper turnaround for the team. They've got very few points in, as I said, and let's hope for their sake they'll make a turnaround. But the first team out on track, though, one of their drivers at the very least, is Paul Villegas for ABS, 8th in the standings at the moment, just ahead of VRM in the Sauer cars. The two of them very eager to get going in the new year. Let's see if they can bring anything special for ABS tonight. They've had their brilliant moments, let's be honest. We've seen them fighting for the win, but so far only 8th in the standings, and their best result being, let me see, 14 points in round number 2. I do not know from the top of my head which position that is, but it was definitely a top 10 position. So there's definitely some hope for them down the line. So let's see, 20 drivers out, and the first ones to cross the line will be the ABS guys.
Indeed it will be, and I think this is really good to see everybody really eager onto the circuit. No one left in the pit lane. Everybody wants to get back up and running. We are officially back from that long winter break, and it is so good to be back, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely brilliant to have you back for us. Well, for this you know, the continuation of this season. First hot lap about to get underway, Marvin, for ABS. About to take to the Bahrain International Circuit, and it is a relatively easy track. It's the reason it's the first one on the calendar. A nice and easy one to bring you back in, I suppose, but this is a really difficult circuit to extract the maximum performance out of, as you can really push the limits around here, but you can push them just that little bit too far. You should see them go all the way over to the left-hand side here on the approach in towards turn number 4, and that is simply them wanting to get the most speed they can through this sequence of corners, then through this tricky S section, down the hill and towards turn number 9, and then we head up towards turns 10 and 11. And these two corners, it's a very easy place to lock up. You'll see pretty much every car lock up as we go through that sequence of corners as they slow it down and get into the rhythm of this hot lap here. But Marvin does not appear to be having a good lap here. He's had a little bit of a squirrely one. Those behind, though, seem to be on a much better lap.
Yeah, I wonder. Everybody is very close together. Thankfully for them, ghosting is completely on. They cannot collide with one another, but it's going to be very distracting, I think, for some drivers with all of them in the way. Looks like Marvin has abandoned his lap, allowing his teammate Poe to get past, as he's the first to be crossing the line. Through the final 2 corners he goes. Turn 15 right here onto the main straight. We saw them going pretty much to the inside of the track on the main straight. I do know that don't do that right now. 26.8 is the first fastest lap time, as Carlos Galindo goes fastest straight away with a 26.4. Tim Tornimo slotting into third for now for NLR with a 26.8. There's Jeremy Gallagher in P6 now with his teammate Tristan going up to P3. Many other lap times coming in right at the moment. We've seen some predictions about Cloud in the chat. He's going through the final corner right now. Marcel Pabst currently 2nd place, and Ramingus going faster than Carlos Galindo. Cloud coming into P8 with a 26.7. Patrick Deckmeyer P6. Several then to cross the line. Yusuf Goat for EVE in P11 now. And then last but certainly not least, Herman Polyakov for NLR with a 1 minute 26.6. But so far though, Aaron Ramingus has started off the best, and surprisingly, neither top team in the top 3.
Yeah, this is an interesting start here. All it takes is a winter break and everything breaks, quite literally. If your name's FVR, maybe a little bit of nerves might creep in here, because 17th and 19th, not a valid lap time on the board for either one of their drivers. That's not a good start. Gotta say, TS in a good place here with Carlos Galindo there up in 2nd, although his teammate is down in 14th. TF10, you've got 4th and 10th. It's really weird what we got at the moment. I think the best team out of this first run is ET8 with Marcel Pabst and Patrick Dagmar. Yeah, so I'd say ET8 are probably the team on top as things stand. Really confusing these first runs. What has happened here? FVR just really seem to have struggled on that first run.
Yeah, of course. They've got no lap times in, so we do not know what their pace is yet, but I have some confidence in Diego Zorzo at the very least. Last season, especially for the team, he was really, really quick. And he's looking to gain back that honor by qualifying for another hot lap. Mark Schluter, of course, he's only 1 millisecond away from the top 4, so take my comment with a bit of a grain of salt right there. And yes, Marcel Pabst and Patrick Dagmeier for ET8 currently the best team on average. Let's see some other teams who've qualified so far. Givano Kennis for TTM, currently sitting in P5. His teammate Lighty, known to be a very quick qualifier as well, not having set a lap time either, sitting in last at the bottom of the table at the moment. Marvin Golm has just started his lap, but I'd like to see Lighty go around, and there we go. It's been a new thing I've seen recently in Bahrain, to just hug the inside pit wall right there on the main straight. I'm not sure why. Maybe it gives a bit more straight line speed or something like that. I haven't heard anything about it, but through the corners he goes, nice and easy does it. The pressure is a little bit more on with 11.5 minutes remaining. There's one of the other Sauber cars, but no distraction there at all for Lighty. The track is quite empty at the moment, so a nice and easy does it for him. Through turn 4, and he went too wide right there. You saw him going over the white line. That means his lap is now invalidated. So let's switch our attention then to Jordan. The second EVE driver has just finished the first sector as he heads towards turn 8. Then, of course, come the tricky bits of turn 9 and number 10. Strongly tricky left-handers, the both of them right there. Then onwards to pretty much the back straight, the third DRS zone here on the Bahrain track. Staying within the white lines, nice and easy does it. Of course, slow cars ahead. You can see the Sauber right ahead, weaving, getting some temperature into the tires as Jordan heads towards turn 11. Let's see if he can match his teammate's lap time. We're sitting in 11th at the moment, at 26.8 for Yusuf Goth right now. Jordan at the moment through the middle sector, a 1 minute 6.4, not too shabby, but not the fastest we've seen either so far. Then one more straight to go, and then onwards to the main straight. It is the DRS detection zone right under the Pirelli signpost right here. And then 2 more corners to go. We'll see what Jordan can bring to the team tonight. They're sitting last in the standings, and he's going straight back in, having made some errors down the line, and he's going to have to try again later.
Indeed, but keep your eye on Diego Zorzo, because he is seemingly on a brilliant and beautiful lap to the top of the time sheets. That's what you want to see from Diego Zorzo. FER have reappeared all of a sudden in this qualifying session. What can Thomas Lang do, as he's going to be the next driver to come across the line and set a lap time? And he only goes 12th, so still a sign that not everything is all looking rosy at FER. Diego Zorzo P1, but his teammate in 12th, so disappointing for one, elation for the other, but we've got plenty of other drivers on hot laps at the moment.
Let's see, Aaron Raminguez, not surprising that he's up there. He's a brilliantly fast qualifier, but unfortunately his qualifying results haven't really translated to race results. Their best result being a 3rd place in round number 2, and other than that, pretty much some point finishes here and there. 1 DNF, 1 non-point finish, so they've got something to make up here in this next part of the season. His teammate David Martinez, they've been together in the cars very often this season, is currently sitting in P9, but Aaron Raminguez then, once again through turn 10, it's looking very steady indeed, but he is in quite a bit of traffic right there. All of them, I believe, on the hot lap, as none of them is slowing down to make way for the Haas as he goes into turn 11. A very long left-hander before he goes into turns 12 and 13. The end of the second sector then. Coming up, let's see if Aaron is going to be any faster right there. He certainly is. He's almost 2/10 quicker at the moment. At the moment, he's been overtaken by his teammate and Givano Kennis for 2nd and 3rd place. So Aaron right now down to 4th. But it looks like he could get very close to pole position. Or is he, as Carlos Galindo has gone even faster than Diego with a 1 minute 26.0. Can Aaron Raminguez make it the first 1 minute 25? No, he can't. But he slots into P3 as Mark Schluter goes up into P4. So for now, the battle for pole position is certainly very close.
Indeed, it absolutely is. It's looking very interesting at the moment as Yusuf comes across the line, goes up to 12th. So yeah, a really interesting one. I caught quite a bit of the lap that Xavier Martinez was doing. Brilliant lap time from him. Really solid sector times he was pumping in throughout the entirety of his lap. There's a few drivers who are on hot laps at the moment, one of them being the man on your screen at the moment, Tristan de Herbecourt. Vroom, as we were saying, they've been a team that we would expect to maybe be a little bit higher up and not not in the kind of area that they're sitting at the moment in qualifying. So hopefully a sign of improvement about to come for Tristan de Herbecourt. He's got a green sector 1, a yellow sector 2. What will it be as he comes across that third and final sector? Only improves by a place. Albeit he is only 6/10 off of pole, but a bit disappointing, I think, for Vroom at the moment, 14th and 17th.
Yeah, Jeremy had to abandon his lap, went too wide in, I believe it was turn number 5 or 6. So definitely no improvement for him just yet. And then, of course, there's still 3 drivers without a lap time. One of them is on his way at the moment, Jordan DHL. He's just gone through turn number 10. Let's see if there's anybody else on a hot lap at the moment. I don't think so. The other 2 without a lap time are Marvin Golm and Lighty. They are still on their way and getting very close to the line indeed. But Jordan, yeah, there he is through turns 11 and 12 once more. Let's see what he does in the middle sector. And then I'd like to swap our attention to Lighty once more. He's got a 1 minute 5.4 through sector 2. But let's find out then, Byron. Lighty, quick qualifier. Let's see if he can match his teammate.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. He's looking to try and get into those 126s. I believe we've got... who is that about to cross the line? That's Jordan. Where can he go? As Lighty's on his lap. Jordan improves by a place. Lighty's already invalidated.
Again, there.
Wow.
Same place, pretty much.
Seems to be really struggling on the exit of turn 4. So what could be happening is obviously because they run wider on the entry, he could just be picking up a few marbles or something that's just kind of throwing him a little bit off line on the exit. So he really seems to be struggling in that section, and it's interesting. Nobody else has really struggled much through there. Lighty, it could be a setup thing, could be a driver thing. It's really could be anything, but he's not going to be happy with a couple of invalidations because that will really be knocking his confidence, because he's pretty much got one more attempt in this session, and if it's not a good attempt, it's going to be back of the grid.
It's a little uncharacteristic for him to struggle this much, but maybe he just agrees with what Nordic Ninja just said in the live chat. Maybe he just doesn't like this track and he's not having fun at all at the moment. One driver that is about to cross the line without an invalidation, though, is Marvin Golm. Finally, is he going to be able to set a lap time if he's happy with it? And it looks like he is. It's going to be a 1 minute 26.6. Puts him up to P12, 2 positions behind his teammate. Modesto Mina for TES is right in the middle of them. A few drivers, though, on their way for their final attempts. Diego Zorzo trying to reclaim provisional pole position, currently heading into turn 11. He was about half a tenth quicker in sector number 1. The Mercedes driver is looking to get back onto the front seat for tonight's race. That's almost 1.5 tenths quicker than through the middle sector. He's definitely finding a lot of time. He might actually then become that driver to go into the elusive 1 minute 25. Carlos Galindo's gotten awfully close, but it might just be that Diego Zorzo once again puts his stamp on the race and pushes the lap times down even further, and he does with a 1 minute 25.9. He's back onto provisional pole, but I'm not entirely sure he's going to retain this position because the other drivers, especially those close behind him, are looking very quick as well.
Indeed, Thomas Lang has invalidated another lap, still down in 17th, unfortunately for their Mercedes man. So really struggling, some drivers on this grid, others having no problems at all, as Youssef's about to begin a hot lap, as well as Tim Tenemo, but everybody else is on a in-lap. But yeah, really interesting, the fact that we're seeing some drivers really struggle. Others are taking to being back absolutely brilliantly, like Diego Zorzo. His teammate seems to be having a little bit more of a problem getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, Thomas Lang is definitely struggling tonight, although I've been watching him in WR as well. Qualifying, not really his thing, and the races really depends on his luck pretty much, so let's hope for his sake that the luck is on his side here in Bahrain tonight. Many drivers back into the box, some drivers on the track at the moment. Only Yusuf Goat on the hot lap, he's in the middle sector at the moment, but some drivers are starting to trickle out of that pit lane. The first of them is a Williams driver, that is Modesto Mina for TES. He's been pretty much in the middle of the pack at the moment. Not really a place I think he's used to being in. So let's see if he can get anywhere closer. At the moment, He's nearly 7/10 slower than provisional pole position. But this is the moment with 2.5 minutes remaining. The pit lane is emptying fast now. And that means we're going to see which driver, which team is going to claim the 4th pole position of the season, the first one in 2025. I've seen the poll where the viewers actually said that 29% say that TF10 will be in pole position. FER and NLR, they've got a similar voting result with 17%, but at the moment NLR looking quite far away from that position.
Indeed, yeah, really interesting. Kind of the conversation happening in the YouTube chat. I'm keeping an eye on it to see what's going on. But yeah, someone saying about an FER sandwich, and I can't lie, it's not that far from happening at the moment, with Diego Zorzo all the way up at the top. Jordan is beginning a hot lap. He's one of the drivers who would need to improve for this hypothetical FER sandwich, but he's currently 5/10 off the back of the next car, so he's got a bit of pace to find across this hot lap here. What will his Sector 1 time put him in good stead for? But yeah, really interesting. Someone saying Aversio points today. Well, you'd certainly hope so. But it's been looking very difficult. And what has gone on there? Well,
I think they've just jinxed him.
Yeah, I don't.
You can blame the chat for this one.
I was gonna say. I love that. Blame the chat for that one, not us. Who have we got on a flying
All your
lap?
fault, fellas.
We have got. Is Thomas Lang on an in lap or is he on a hot lap? No, we've got a Mercedes there.
I think he's on a hot lap, yeah.
The next driver we've got on a flying lap at the moment is Medestro Mena for TES. All the way down in 11th place. He'll be the next driver to cross the line, I believe, if my eyes do not deceive me.
Trying to figure it out as well. Paul Viegas is crossing the line right now. Herman Polyakov is starting his hot lap. There's a Mercedes coming in fast. That's Diego Zorzo. So yes, it's definitely the Williams of Modesta Mina. 2/10 nearly quicker through the middle sector. That's getting him somewhere in the top 10. Yusuf Goat has retired in the pit lane. No surprises there as he's out of time for qualifying as the checkered flag is waving right now. So then, Modesta Mina, what can you do? Can you get closer to your teammate? Carlos Galindo sitting on the front row right now. What can his teammate do right there? Goes 8th fastest. Next up to cross the line, Giovanni Kenneth for TTM. We know him to be very fast indeed. Where is he going to go then? From P5 all the way up to P4 actually. Then next, his own teammate, Lighty. He hasn't invalidated yet as he comes through the final 2 corners. It's where it counts most. He stays just within the white lines. Where is he going to go? From P20 all the way up to 2nd place, onto the front row. That's more like it from the man in TTM. Tristan Derbecour stays in 16th. Thomas Lang stays only in 18th. No good news then for FER. Cloud goes all the way up to P4. Marcel Pabst in P7. David Martinez then all the way up to P8. Who's next across the line? Carlos Galindo is one of them, just behind one of the Aston Martins. That is Patrick Dagmai going out to P10. Can Carlos Galindo go into pole? He can't, but he does go into the 1:25. Goes into 2nd place. Then the only driver I was about to say who can beat him is Aaron Ramingus, but he is invalidated. So from the top 10 then, only Mark Schluter on the hot lap, but he's abandoned it as well. Diego Zorzo then, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna make this pole position even stronger than he already made it? He has definitely got this right now. Is he gonna go across the line? Yes, he does. He does not improve, but he's definitely in pole position. FER is starting off this new year both in form and out of form at the same time.
This is interesting then. What have we seen here in the last 18 minutes? Pretty much an FER sandwich. Thomas Lang,
almost,
18th. Yeah. Diego Zorzo on pole position. So one man on top form, the other on bottom form. Carlos Galindo, brilliant job to get into the 1:25s. Lighty, really strong lap time when he needed it as well. We talked about the pressure that would have been put on him there in that situation, and he rose to the occasion and showed a really, really decent lap time there. But here is your qualifying classification then. Diego Zorzo is the man who will start the race from P1, followed by Carlos Galindo, Lighty, then Cloud, Aaron Raminguez, Giovanni Kennis, Marcel Pabst, David Martinez there, Mark Schluter, Patrick Dachmeyer there, rounding out your top 10. Then Modesto Mena, Herman Polyakov, Pau Villegas, Marvin, then Tim Tanemo, Youssef Go, Tristan Herbergot, Thomas Lang, a disappointing 18th, Jeremy Gallinier, and I didn't quite catch who was dead last, but I believe it was one of the EVEs, so it's not like we're going to really see them anyway.
I think NLR is going to be bitterly disappointed with these results. Both of the drivers out of the top 13, which is bad news for the team in third in the standings. TTM is breathing down their neck. They've qualified really, really well compared to the RB team tonight. So they've got a battle on their hands for sure. In fact, the point difference between NLR and TTM is, let's see here, only 6 points. So they are definitely in a heated fight, and behind them is TES with 6 points behind TTM in their turn, and then there's AMR with 50 points, 16 points behind at the moment in P6, followed by ET8 with 1 point behind AMR. So in the midfield of the standings, there's a lot to play for. The only saving grace, by the way, for FVR is that TF10 haven't qualified brilliantly, apart from Cloud, who is qualified 4th with Mark Schluter in 9th. So that might be their saving grace, but Thomas Lang definitely has some catching up to do tonight.
Yeah, a lot of catching up to do, and it's disappointing when you're in this situation as a driver. You want to always be up there towards the top, and, well, it just hasn't happened at the moment for Thomas Lang, and it'll be interesting to see if this comes good, right? Because that's what we're going to be looking at. We want, them to deliver a good result. And moment is not looking great. But, a race is always an opportunity to move forward. We've seen that plenty of times. A driver can start towards the bottom and find their way up towards the top of the field, right? So just because you're starting 18th doesn't mean that, it's all over sort of thing. It just means it's going to be a really, really difficult one. And I think it's going to be exactly that for Thomas Lang today. Really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon to fight yourself to the front of the field. And this track, of course, overtaking is not that difficult altogether. The overtaking opportunity is, of course, lying into turns 1, and if you're brave, turn 4 as well, and you've got enough speed to carry in it. If you're Fernando Alonso, you could try it in turn 10 as well, and maybe even turn 11 or turn 14, if you've got the speed and the grip from those corners. Of course, weather is not going to play a factor tonight in Bahrain, because it's Bahrain. There's pretty much sand instead of water right here, so it's going to be dry all throughout. You can be guaranteed of that one. But we're going to have to reset the lobby because of issues with the game, and that means the grid is going to have to be set manually. So in a few minutes, the actual race will start. 29 laps then coming up, and make sure to let us know in the chat which team you think is going to come out on top. Will it be FVR trying to get away from TF10 again, or will it be somebody else?
Well, that is exactly the question that I want the answer to, and we'll find out in the, hopefully the next hour or so. Hopefully it takes less than an hour for this race, but you never know in the world of racing, especially when we get safety cars. But to your point about it not raining in Bahrain, I do remember, I think it was last year, about this time last year, F2 went testing in Bahrain, and it was actually raining. I'm not sure if you saw that, but it has actually rained in Bahrain.
Well, I mean, fair enough. It's got rain in his name. So.
It does have rain in the name, but we don't see rain very often. But if for whatever reason we do see rain, it would be very amusing. I'm just going to put it that way. There is no way on earth that any of these drivers have tested or driven wet weather in Bahrain, because it's just so uncommon. So if it was to happen, it'd be absolute carnage. And I can't lie, if it does happen, I am here for it so much, but unlikely. Let's not get caught up on what could be or what may or may not happen. Let's have a look at what has happened. Let's have a little look at your standings. Well,
Standings indeed, yeah. As we already know, FVR and TF10 on top of it. Both teams having won a race this season so far alongside TTM in the second round. However, TF10 does have 2 second places along with it, and FVR's got 1 third place along with it. But on points total, yeah, pretty much equal on the boards right there. They've got some very fast drivers at the moment out there as well. Meaning that they are pretty much dominant. But it could turn around very well, as right now we see in Bahrain already some struggles for both of the teams and some other teams that we actually were expecting to fight for the championship as well, having a bit of a renewed chance. We saw a very much a revival of TTM in round 2. TES, I still think, can mount a championship challenge, and AMR, with Aaron Raminges and David Martinez being very quick tonight, could still pose a threat for both of those teams as well, because we're only 1/3 in. There's still a long way to go, and I'm really curious to see if any other teams can get themselves into that fight for first place, because we all know there is some money to be won, isn't there?
yeah, indeed, exactly, and really important. I'm just like, I may or may not have just made a little joke in the direction of Thomas Lang in the Discord. He just said, "I'll join at 2 seconds." He's restarted his PC, but I just said to him, "Must be turning on the hacks. Need to find some pace somewhere." I just thought that was a little bit funny.
Ouch.
Very ouch, but he's got to find some pace somewhere, and that is the one of the big talking points, I think, is when we look at those standings. You know, it is disappointing for FVR to have one driver at the top and one so far down. You know, you look at where they are in the standings, they're tied on points with TF10. You know, they should be getting a lot more out of that than what they did in that session. So I think they're going to be a little bit disappointed, and rightfully so. I think, you know, there's not going to be you know, a happy conversation going on there. They are going to be quite critical of that performance, and you know, now they've got to deliver.
Yeah, I also just got an explanation on why the drivers were hugging the pit wall at qualifying, because there's less bumps on the pit wall side. So that does explain a whole lot. It's got nothing to do with slipstream from the wall, whatever physics I thought were possible in the game, because they're not possible. There's just less bumps, that's the only explanation. In the meanwhile, the grid is apparently ready, but none of the drivers are readying up at the moment. Maybe they should be tagged, because Jeremy already said, "Good luck guys, grid done." But the drivers haven't been tagged. So, oh, well, actually just got reset again. So maybe there's some things going on there, but we're still waiting for things to get underway. And hello, Epic. Welcome to the chat. Another co-com there in the chat tonight. Also, always interesting to see. And yes, I am wearing a CSS shirt, and Byron isn't. But he shouldn't be sacked for that, because that would be a shame.
Wow. Really throwing the shade there.
Oh, I mean, Danny said you should be sacked. It wasn't me.
Oh, wow. Oh, I did. You know what? I didn't even see that that's the case. It's apparently a disgrace. Oh dear. Oh. Whoops, guys. I'm so sorry. Right. We got a bit of a break. We should be getting underway in a moment. In fact, we are beginning to ready up. Just got to draw everybody's attention to something that got mentioned earlier on in the live stream in the chat. There's a charity event called Race for June, which is raising money for a girl who has leukemia. And we've just dropped the donation link in the YouTube chat. It's not very often that we, as a team, kind of support something, you know, but I think this is for a good cause. So I'm just gonna quickly mention that whilst we've got a little bit of downtime, just because that was an event that's going on, and I thought it was quite a nice thing to draw everybody's attention to. But now that that's out of the way, we can draw our attention to this race, which everybody's readied up for. We're now just waiting for them to load into the lobby, pop their setups on, and we will be good to go.
Yep. And then, of course, comes the always interesting questions of tires. I think those in the back might do a bit of a gamble, go for the softer compound of tires. Those in the front might just go for those hard tires from the start and switch to the mediums later on. I've seen some brave souls trying softs or medium, 2 mediums or vice versa, resulting in some punctures here and there. So let's see if there's going to be any of those brave souls tonight to try and take on that huge gamble. I wonder, with this much money on the line, if they're going to try that. So yeah, let's find out. Drivers selecting their setups, selecting their tires, making sure there's enough fuel in the car. Wouldn't hurt either. And then we'll be getting underway.
Indeed, yes. Let's take you to that all-important trackside action, because I think this is going to be a really good race tonight. I'm just popping in that donation link now, just because I've mentioned it. And I couldn't find it very nice and easily. So there you go, that's all sorted. We will be getting underway in just a moment's time, though. The Bahrain International Circuit, what a lovely circuit it is, hosted its first race all the way back in, I believe, it was 2011, if I remember rightly.
Bahrain?
I believe so.
Well, 2004, actually.
Oh, wow. Shows... It's older than I thought, but it's used a lot of variations, right? We've had a lot of different variations
yes,
this
the
circuit
first,
over the year.
I believe the first two, from the top of my head, but please correct me if I'm wrong, had a very long race layout. They used the outside and the inside of the track, so it was really, really long. Very long lap times as well, and they did it during daytime. So it meant it was really hot. I believe the hottest race recorded was held in 2004, I think. The year Fernando Alonso almost won his first championship, because that happened in 2005. It's actually where Michael Schumacher won his last championship, his 7th and last world title. So, yeah, it's a better thing that they do it at night right now. And we're getting underway right now. 3, 4, 5 red lights are going on, and the new year for CSS is underway right now. Let's see if Diego Zorzo gets off the line well. Looks like he does, but so does Carlos Galindo as they heads towards turn 1. Carlos Galindo gets a lot of lag and teleports backwards. That's really unfortunate for the TES driver, allowing Lighty to simply breeze into second place. Ever Raminguez goes up into the podiums as well. Cloud manages to take P4 from Giovanni Kennis. The other TTN driver now sitting in P5. Mark Schluter is making his way up fast as well. Many drivers going 2 or 3 wide into turn 4 there. Let's see if they all can keep it into one piece. Looks like for now they can. But the top 3 now with Diego Zorzo, Lighty and Am Raminguez gone off the line safely. Carlos Galindo is falling further and further back still. Still some issues then from the man on the front row. Now down in 13th place behind his teammate. And both ABS drivers at the moment. NLR sitting in 14th and 15th. But so far it seems, other than Carlos's issues, everybody's gone off the line quite safely.
Indeed, yeah, really not looking good there for Carlos Galindo, who's down to 19th now. What is going on this opening lap of action for Carlos Galindo? It doesn't appear he's under AI control, it just appears he is lagging all about the joint. Yeah, it must be really bad, whatever's going on for him, as he's nearly all the way down to the back of the grid here on this opening lap of action here. So he's fallen all the way from 2nd to 19th place. We talk about recovery drive. That is going to be one recovery drive that is very much needed. Everybody pulling over to the side to avoid the bumps. This is interesting. How do you make a move?
Things people will do to gain a millisecond.
Indeed. Apparently 7 milliseconds was what I saw it was worth in terms of lap time. But that's how much these drivers value every single bit of lap time they can get. Thomas Lang up to 17th. He's trying to get a bit of a move on in this race if he can, as Carlos Galindo is down to last place now in the race. But Lighty really putting on the pressure to the back of Diego Zorzo. This could go from bad to worse for FER.
It looks like he's pretty much pushing Diego through the corners already, which is uncharacteristic for Diego. They've all started on the hard tires as well, by the way, so no tire performance differences for this stint, definitely. So all pretty much in equal conditions at the moment. DRS now is properly open, and Lighty is already getting really, really close, but he doesn't want to overtake here, because the main straight, of course, is a whole lot longer to get that move done, and he already is feeling that he might have the upper-handed pace at the moment. And Aaron Raminguez as well is getting closer and closer. The top 3 is slowly moving a tiny bit away from Cloud. Of course, he's trying to hang on. He's still within 0.4 of a second, so still pretty much very close. but you can see the top 3 having a bit of an upper hand in terms of pace, and then there's Cloud, who's got a lot of straight line speed as they go onto the main straight for the second full time. All back to hugging the pit wall. You'd love to see it right there. Fastest laps coming in fast and hot. And Lighty is going to go for the move. He can't pick the inside because that means we'll go into the pit wall. So no defending right there necessary for Diego. And Lighty stays in second place. That's a major downside from hugging the pit wall there for all drivers, that they can't overtake on the inside anymore. Giovanni, Kennis and Cloud in the meanwhile fighting for a position. They nearly went side by side for a little while. But for now then, Cloud staying in P4.
Indeed, yeah, Cloud and Giovanna. Did you go side by side? I think it was into turn 1 and on the exit. But, yeah, didn't stay side by side up into the run to turn 4. But a sign of things to come for TTM, who've got to say, as well as AMR, are in a really good place in this race to get a good amount of points, as well as, I think, TF10 and even EC8. You've got 4 teams there. All have got both of their drivers quite close together. They can work together and really be quite strategic in their approach to this race. But I think Lighty's just going to want to dispatch of Diego Zorzo quite soon, as it does appear, you know, like Lighty's got a little bit more pace and urgency in terms of trying to make that move and get that place. But for what reason is Diego Zorzo slow? Someone who is going slow is Jeremy Gallinier. He's had an incident there on the exit of, I think it's going into turn 13. As we hug down the pit straight once more, what can Lighty do? Well, he's looking very, very close. He pulls onto the bumpier side of the track, but makes the move. Nicely done. And into turn 1, a new race leader, Lighty, out in front. Can he pull away from Diego Zorzo though? Probably not, but he's now in that P1 spot. He's got clean air. He now will probably get a little bit less on the tyres.
Yeah, that's probably the only reason why he wants to pull in front, because there's no other benefit from being in P1 other than having less temperature being thrown your way from the car ahead of you. And so for technical reasons now, Lighty in P1, he could see his teammates still hanging on in P5 right there. Giovanni Kennis still trying to get past Cloud, as Patrick Deckmeyer and Modesto Mina are having a feisty battle just in front of turn number 10, with Patrick just staying ahead of the Williams right there. Carlos Galeno is nowhere anymore. He's still got issues. R down in P20 in last place. He needs a miracle to get his race saved. So he will not be fighting for the win anytime soon. So it's all on Modesto Mina for TES. But yeah, many teams are at the moment fighting for the win. AMR, TTM and TF10 looking best at the moment. The top 3 teams right there, with Diego Zorzo being the odd one out, so to say, which is unusual for me to say in the top 7 right there. Marcel Papst and Patrick Deckmeyer for ET8 have dropped back a little bit. They've got Paul Villegas in the middle of them right now as we head towards lap number 5. Let's see, I think Aaron Raminges is getting really close to Diego Zorzo. He definitely is, but Diego's going to try and make a claim for first place. Back into business he goes. Aaron didn't get a chance to get past, but Giovanni and Mark are getting very close once again. Mark Schluter really wants to get to his teammates for him to work together, but in turn has allowed David Martinez nearly to get close to him. It went by side into turn 3 for a little bit, but for now then, David Martinez stays behind, gets a poor exit, nearly allows Marcel Pops to get past. So any mistake at the moment gets punished almost immediately.
Indeed, yeah. I think Diego Zorzo had to make that move on Lighty. If he didn't, he would have been absolutely swallowed by Aaron Raminges. He was looking so close. Obviously, we see that if you don't want to overtake the car in front, you can lift off a little bit just to make sure you don't get the overspeed. But Diego Zorzo, I think there was a sense of urgency there, because if he didn't make that move, he would have been overtaken himself. And if he then falls to third, he's then beginning to lose a grip on his chance of winning the race. So, strategic play there from Diego Zorzo. But, you know, it's pretty much as it was just 2 laps ago when Lighty took the lead. Now, because it's just the roles reversed. Diego Zorzo back in front, Lighty in second, Aaron Raminges rounding out that podium. And once again, Aaron Raminges, I think, is not going to be biding his time here. He's going to be applying the pressure and making it so that Lighty has to make this move once again, just as he did a lap ago. Aaron Raminges forcing the moves on the track.
Yeah, looks like proper strategy there from the Spaniard in the Haas. He's doing a good job. His teammate at the moment has been fighting Marcel Paps for a little bit, still ahead of the Aston Martin for the time being. We see Herman Polyakov then dropping down through the field fast. It's going a little bit slow. A yellow flag came out for it as well. And we also see that the top 12 has separated themselves from the cars behind. Thomas Lang has fought his way into the points, finds himself in P13 as Jeremy Gallagher gets another incident into turn 3 right there. Thomas is into the points, but he now has to find his way to the top 12. With about a 2-second gap and a massive slipstream for those cars ahead is going to be a big challenge. But look at that, Modesto Mina and Patrick Dagmeyer fighting hard for position. They went side by side in turn 10, and Modesto Mino has gone into the top 10 and starts to chase down Paul Villegas, who is currently driving in P9, chasing down Marcel Paps in his turn, as Cloud is starting to apply some proper pressure to Aaron Raminges in the front of the field. So battles all over the place, especially in the top 12. Let's see who's going to come out on top.
Well, Diego Zorzo, he's probably not going to be able to make the move down into turn number 1 now, because he's got about 6.5 tenths gap between himself and Lighty, so he's not going to be able to make the move into turn 1. What that means, though, for Aaron Raminges is it means that there's less of a chance that he forces an overtake here. In fact, he may get overtaken himself as we go a little bit squirrely into turn number 1. Aaron Raminges there looking to try and make the move on Diego Zorzo, but Cloud wanted to make the move on him, and in fact, Cloud may even look to make the move on him into turn number 4, which he absolutely does. Brilliant move here. Cloud could, though, have maybe have opened a window for his teammate Mark Schluter to have slipped down the inside there as well. But a well-orchestrated move from Cloud to take himself onto the podium as Aaron Raminges down to 4th and now having to kind of regroup a little bit. And, once again, that gap, 7 tenths of a second, now nearly 8 tenths of a second. Lighty seems to be pushing on and trying to get this gap to over a second, if they can.
I wonder, because he's flying actually, and he's gaining a lot of time in the corners. I have to say about TF10 though, if there's one race where they can pounce hard on FVR, it's going to be tonight, because they've got 2 drivers in the top 5. FVR has only got 1 driver right there with Diego Zorzo, and Thomas Lang cannot catch up to the top 12 anymore, meaning that a top 10 result is out of the window for now, unless he plays a brilliant strategy or maybe a safety car in the mix to change things around as they go onto the main straight back to the pit wall once again. We see a bit of a ghosted car behind. That's Modesto Mino having a bit of an issue right there. Back down to P11 at the front of the field though. And Raminges, where is he going to go? Outside or inside? He's going to go nowhere. He has to stay behind. Gets ghosted a little bit right there as Marcel Paps and David Martinez still fighting there for P7. And somehow the AMR driver is still sticking ahead for now in that 7th position. Some good results still on the board there for AMR, even with Aaron Raminges out of the top 3. For now, there's still a long way to go, especially once we go and make the pit stops, where the opportunity for an undercut could change everything.
Indeed, yeah, that opportunity for the undercut here especially is really powerful around the Bahrain International Circuit. So if you're able to pit maybe a lap or 2 earlier, don't lose much pace towards the end of the race, that undercut could easily gain you quite a lot of time. And I wonder if that could be something that we maybe see from Lighty, who leads the way at the moment, or someone kind of in that top 5, because going a lap or 2 earlier does mean you'll get a bit more tyre wear towards the ends. He will suffer a little bit more at the end of the race, but you could easily gain a couple of seconds there with that undercut strategy. So who knows? We've got a long time to go though until I think we see a pit stop here. I'd say we're probably going until about lap 17, 18 until we see a pit stop. I would have thought at least a scheduled pit stop, but I could be very wrong, and these drivers could know something that I don't. But at the moment, not much happening on the run down into turn number 1, minus Aaron Raminges making a very beautiful move there to try and get himself ahead of Cloud once more. And in fact, on the exit, he may be able to make it. He doesn't make it, unfortunately. If anything, Mark Schluter nearly thought about making a move down the inside, but that was a very nice and very clean attempt from Aaron Raminges to get that place back.
A bit further back, we see Tristan Derbecourt and Thomas Lang fighting for position. That lost them about 7 or 8 tenths of a second to the groups ahead, so not very useful fighting there at the moment. They should be working together if they want to have any shot, and so far they've kept up quite well. The gap remained stable at 2.2 seconds until that moment in turn 4, where they lost just a lot of time. So now they are much further back than they wanted to be, and the chances of catching up to their group is getting ever slimmer. And meanwhile, further back still, Yusuf Goat getting past Marvin Golm for EVE up into the points. The Alpine driver goes right there as Jeremy Galanier's day gets even worse. Another spin then into turn 8. I'm not sure what's going on with Jeremy, but he's just having a nightmare day, isn't he, tonight?
Yeah, really not looking good for Jeremy Galanier. I do wonder at what point he may throw the towel in, because it's surely not far away. He's already 26 seconds off Herman Polyakov, who's not had a great race himself. Someone who is going to have a great race is Mark Schluter, who's going 3 wide on the exit of turn 2. How did that manage to happen without problems? Mark Schluter up to 3rd, Aaron Mingus 4th, Giovanni Kennis there in 5th, side by side between David Martinez and Cloud. Cloud now down to 7th. He was 3rd just a couple of corners ago. What has conspired there? Mark Schluter maybe got a little bit greedy and hung his teammate out to dry in the process.
Yeah, I think this was not Schluter's intention at all. He just wanted to take Aaron Mingus, and then he just gone a little bit too deep, and Aaron Mingus decided to defend quite hard, and then all hell broke loose. And the biggest victim there was Schluter's teammate Cloud, now down in 7th. David Martinez has already said thank you so much for P6 right there. Giovanni Kennis has also said thank you very much. And I'm now in P5, and I'm getting closer to my teammate Lighty, by the way. Still sitting in 1st place, doing an absolute brilliant job defending from behind, gaining just enough distance on the main straight to keep them all at bay into turn 1. But I wouldn't be surprised, as they are hugging the pit wall so close on the final few laps, if they do that as well by then. We might see absolute chaos in the first few corners. So I really wonder what they're going to do by that point. Still far away though, we're not even at the halfway point in fact. You can see right there, Lighty having created that gap going into turn 1, this time moving to the outside to make sure nobody gets past on either side of him. Looks like Diego had a bit of a struggle there through the corner. Mark Schluter getting a tiny bit close for comfort for him. Modesto Mino in the meanwhile, whoa, there goes Paul Villegas off the track, trying to get involved into the battle. No penalty for him, fortunately for him there. Patrick Dekmai trying to get back past, but Modesto Mina keeping his foot down, staying in P9, is saving whatever he can for the TES team, as Carlos Galindo is not that far away anymore from getting lapped, in fact.
Yeah, really been difficult for TES tonight. I really do feel for them. They had a really good opportunity with Carlos Galindo high up the order, but to no avail, unfortunately. You can't win them all. Jeremy Galanier has retired in the pit lane. Did wonder at what point that would happen. Unfortunately, that point has been reached. And yeah, no surprises there, I think. Absolutely shocking race for him. And not something to write home about. But something to write home about is Lighty. He is, as you said, doing an amazing job. And Diego also might be about to have even more pressure on him for this race, because it looks like Mark Schluter is all over the back of Diego Zorzo and could even be thinking about making a move. As you see in the background, Cloud making a move on David Martinez. Into turn number 1 we go, and it's pretty much 1 by 1 by 1 as they head through that sequence of corners. Will we see any moves up and towards turn number 4? No, we will not. A very quiet start to the lap here, but I'm sure a sign of things to come is going to be those dramatic moments we saw. But everybody maybe just taking a bit of a chill pill at the moment.
Yeah, Marcel Pops has dropped back, and in turn has allowed both Thomas Lang and Tristan Derbecourt to slowly start catching the front of the field. as Carlos Galindo gets the first penalty of the race, as if things couldn't get worse than that. It just happened right there. But Marcel Pabst has allowed the gap to shrink from 3 seconds down to 1.7 seconds at the moment. They're clearly faster through the corners, this group of 3 cars. And I wouldn't be surprised if sooner or later Thomas Lang and Tristan Derbekhoes with Marcel will be connecting once again to the front of the field and trying to get themselves re-involved into the fight for potentially even the win. Diego Zorzal then, having left a little bit of a gap to Lighty right there, perhaps a little bit of a nasty exit here and there. Mark Schluter then all over the back once again, this time the main straight. Maybe the German is going to make the move right now. Looks like he's within 0.2 of a second, so a perfect opportunity. DRS wide open for all of them. Mark Schluter getting closer and closer. Diego's got no choice but to go as fast as he can on the main straight. He even gets side by side with Lighty. Lighty has to defend from the Mercedes, but Diego Zorzal gets back in the lead. Lighty, though, starting to fight back a little bit there. Where does he get DRS? Yes, he does. But Mark Schluter is going to try and make a move on Lighty potentially in turn 4. No, he just had a look there. Just a little bit on the inside, making himself as big in the mirrors as he could be, but still hanging on into 3rd place. But definitely the warning signs have been given by the Red Bull driver. He's definitely there to take 1st place if he can.
Yeah, warning shots from Mark Schluter. That's pretty much been the story of his race so far. He's fired off a lot of warning shots in the direction of many a driver. Oh, it's David Martinez and Tim Tanemo. I just about caught that just in the as I just swapped to them as I was seeing they were about to swap places. And yeah, David Martinez there down to 10th now in this race. Tim Tanemo down to 8th. So both of them falling behind Modestro Maina, who is getting a couple places out of that. He'll be a little bit happy, you know, to not have had to make those overtakes. Carlos Galindo did wonder at what point that would have happened as well. Both of those.
Yeah, such a shame.
It is a shame. It is really a shame. But back onto that main straight once more, and well, Lighty. Mark Schluter, both of whom are going to probably be on the pounce, I would have thought, versus Diego Zorzal, who will fall to 2nd. Will he fall to 3rd, though? Mark Schluter thought about around the outside. He won't make it around the outside, but he is very close on the exit here of turn number 3 as we head down this straight once more. Diego Zorzal not making a move on Lighty. Mark Schluter not making a move on him either. But Lighty back up into that P1 spot, and a 10-second time penalty for Jordan for ignoring yellow flags. So clearly made a move into turn number 1, and fortunately has paid the consequences for it.
Yep, and if he was thinking of removing the penalty, he probably won't be able to do so, as during the pit stop the penalty will be served, and then you can no longer get it removed. I mean, I understand why you make the move right there, but you've got to realize that when a car retires in the pit lane, it will come out to retire on the track afterwards. That's just how the game works, and something you've got to keep in mind. So if you see the yellow light flashing, it means you cannot overtake, even when you think it just isn't fair. It's just what it is, unfortunately. One of the tiny issues of the game of this year, and for many years, in fact, with cars retiring as an AI in that pit lane. Anyway, lap 14, we are at the halfway point. The top 3 is remaining back and forth, switching all over the place between Diego and Lighty. Mark Schluter was trying to get himself involved in several occasions right there already. But for now, he just seemed to not be able to get past. He tried to go literally around the outside in turn 1 on the last lap. What's he going to do this time? He's going to get hammered there, perhaps by Aaron Mingus in turn 1. Aaron Mingus tries to get back onto the podium, and he successfully does so, getting a little bit of a tap on the left rear by Mark Schluter, and therefore Mark Schluter now getting a poor exit. Giovanni Kennis pretty much side by side with the Red Bull right there, but Mark Schluter's got more straight line speed and stays ahead. There goes Aaron Mingus a little bit wide, allowing the Red Bull to go side by side with him once again as they go back and forth, position swapping all over the place. But Mark Schluter, after all those corners, retains P3 for the time being, but from behind a lot of pressure is coming, and a bit further back Cloud potentially wanting a word with his own teammate or Aaron Mingus, whoever caused the chaos a few laps ago, trying to get back past the Dutchman in P5. For the time being, though, the German remaining in P3.
Indeed, and yeah, that's a saucy little battle there that we saw between those couple of drivers. I think really showing Diego Zorzal that he's vulnerable, but Mark Schluter as well, seeing that he was quite vulnerable as into turn 1, he just went that little bit deep. Aaron Raminga slips down the inside, you know, and all hell broke loose really, but it was lovely. It was really good to see everything that happened there. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but Thomas Lang has really got his head in the game here. He's nearly on the back of this train. And that is really good for him. He's had such a difficult race so far. Oh, that is a lovely move from Giovanni Kennis to try and get that P5 spot as Marvin retires in the pit lane there. Yeah, Giovanni really quite a ballsy attempt there to try and get himself ahead of Cloud. Really good from Thomas Lang to nearly get in the mix here. He's obviously been working with Marcel Papston and Tristan de Herbecourt to try and get himself into this train, into this battle. And they've pretty much just about done it. And that's really good for his race, because at one point they were 3 seconds off of this train. So to be in the mix now and have a chance of some better points is going to be music to the ears of FER.
Yeah, Cloud was actually overtaking Giovanni for P5, as Isa mentioned in the chat. So he managed to get past the Ferrari. Giovanni, though, did put up a feisty defense to retain the position, but he couldn't. And now Cloud is getting even closer back to the position he once had. Just a Haas in between himself and his teammate right there. And then TF10 could get a proper cooperation going on at the front of the field. In the meanwhile, Modeste Mino has silently also snuck himself into the top 7 and is now getting awfully close to the Ferrari of Giovanni Kennis. But Mark Schluter definitely starting to line up Diego Zorzal for a move in turn 1, or does he? No. They decided to keep it safe and sound right there. None of them in that group making a move, except for Modesto Mina, who's made an almighty dive in turn 1. Giovanni's having absolutely none of it. A bit of a bumpy ride going on there for the both of them. Can Modesto Mina properly get past the Dutchman right there into turn 4? Yes, he can. There comes Modesto Mina for TAS, salvaging Carlos's position, who's already retired. Now into the top 6 he goes. Where's he going to go next? He's definitely on the move and saving whatever he can. There comes Tinter Nemo on Giovanni Kennis as well. Giovanni has lost all the pace all of a sudden, at least for this moment, as Tim is trying to get past round the outside in turn 10. Can he make it work though? No, he can't. Therefore trying to force Giovanni into a poor exit. But for now it doesn't work, and the train from 12 cars has grown to 14 as Marcel, Tristan and Thomas are properly connected to this train of cars.
Indeed, and now things are getting even more feisty. We're seeing a bit of blood boil here as well, as we saw that battle between Giovanni Modesto and Tim Tenemo. That was a really good little squabble there. For position as well. And, you know, these positions, they mean points. They mean prizes. It means money. You know, every point does really count in the grand scheme of things. So these guys are going to battle Hammer and Tong for everything on the road, and it's rightfully so. And Diego Zorzo may have to fight back his way into P1 quite soon, because Mark Schluter is really looking close on the back of this FER. And I can't help but notice that pretty much every time there's a straight, just how much more straight line speed that man Mark Schluter has.
Yeah. Probably has also realized that whenever he tries to attack in turn 1, he's immediately got Aaron all over the place, especially in the corners, because that's where he's a little bit slower. And then come out of the corners, that's where he will have the upper hand in terms of pace, at least on the Haas. But he's definitely aware of the fact of the threats from behind, especially from the Spaniard in the Haas right there, sitting in P4 at the moment. We're getting close, by the way, to the point where the first cars are going to pit. We are on lap number 18, and I wonder who's going to yield first. Will it be one of the cars in the back? Will it be one of the front guys? We'll know soon enough. We're heading toward the ends of the second sector right there, as pit stops are coming up very soon indeed.
Indeed they are. Yeah, really interesting to see the point at which we're at in this race. I would have thought we would have seen someone have pit now, maybe for a set of mediums, to run it a little bit longer, get an undercut, but not yet. However, It looks like right on cue. We've seen a couple of cars in. Lighty!
Lighty.
Oh dear! Oh, that is not good.
That's not the first time either he's done that. He's going for the softs. A lot of drivers are going for the soft tires for the final 10 laps of the race. That is an interesting choice, to say the least. They are going for it. It looks like everybody's agreeing on that strategy for sure. But Lighty is going to be in a world of trouble now, because that's just thrown away his race victory. Unless he got bumped from behind, potentially he could get that penalty removed. Unless he serves it, of course, in case of a safety car or whatever. But for now, the TTM driver not going for that win anymore, and he could drop down big time with that car, train of 14 cars that was fighting there for the win. Now we're seeing a split though in the front train with the top 4 of Cloud, Aaron, Givano and Tim splitting apart once again from Marcel, Tristan and Thomas, who are on the back foot once more. As many cars have moved out from between them, they are going to try and play catch up again. And they are wise, they're going to pit this lap to try and at least have a chance at staying with the other train of cars, which is also slowly getting split, as we see the Patrick Deckmeyer's Aston Martin getting away from Modesto Mina, who's gone onto the fresh softs as well. So the technical race leader on paper at the moment is Diego Zorzo.
Well, yeah. By technicality of that penalty from Lighty, I would be interested to know as to if he did get a bump from behind and if that would change everything for him. But let's have a look at where Lighty is at the moment. He's coming out of, just came out of turn 13, I believe, and now out on the exit of turn 14 down the straight. Where will he come out in relation to those who've pit one lap later? You would have thought he'd be comfortably ahead. He is comfortably ahead as Diego Zorzo makes the move on Lighty. So yeah, they've gained a lot of time. Tim Tenemo and those drivers who did come out that one lap, come in that one lap later, it's not really worked. They've they've been undercut, and you can see there Cloud is 2 seconds back off Modesto Mena, so not ideal for them in this race.
Cloud, yeah. One lap later and already 2 seconds of a difference immediately. His only upside though, he's got the freshest tires of the group he's literally in the middle of. Also, there is Jordan still out there, and Diego's getting rapidly closer, very fast indeed. So Jordan might play a bit of an obstacle for these drivers trying to get past, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Alpine driver is going to come in at the end of this lap. So Diego will just miss out on trying to force himself past the Alpine driver. Marcel Paps in the meanwhile has forced himself past Paul Viegas for P12. But other than that, the top 3 remaining somewhat unchanged. Still the same 3 drivers. And then there's Modesto Mena reporting for duty to try and take that win and claim vengeance for his teammates' issues to go for the win for TES. And there is Jordan. Surprisingly, he still continues on for another lap. Everybody else goes to the pit wall. Jordan stays out of it and makes sure he's not going to get in anybody's way. Otherwise, they'll all be very angry at him indeed. He stays now, drops down to 3rd place. Mark Schluter must get past ASAP, and he does so. And now Modesto Mena is going to have to move past as soon as he can. Jordan, though, makes no issue of it, gets out of the way nicely. But I wonder why he carries on for so long, because now not only is he losing time because of old tires, he's also losing time by getting everybody past.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit of a silent party in this race, right? He was running all the way down in 15th, a little bit of a no man's land. So I suppose it's not like he's really losing any time to anyone. It's not like he's really losing any places. So I do wonder what the strategy is here. Maybe just a lap or 2 offset, get some even fresher tyres, and just blitz it to the end and maybe try to get a fastest lap. That could be the play, especially if he's going to be in that top 15. That's an extra point that, EVE, I'm sure, would love very much. But Lighty is really going to want to try and get the move here on Diego Zorzo, because he's being pushed through the corners by Mark Schluter behind.
Yeah, definitely Diego struggling to keep ahead. Lighty, of course, furious with his penalty most likely. We will know sooner or later what has caused it exactly. Was it a fault of his own, or was it getting pushed from behind? If it's the latter, Maybe another penalties on the horizon, but there they go into turn 1. They might potentially go 3 wide, but Diego makes no issue of it. He allows both of them past, drops down to 3rd place. Modesto Mina nearly gets past as well, but not yet though. Mark Schluter now the race leader. That's what he's been waiting for a long time. The perfect scenario there for his team. Now all needs to happen for them is for Cloud to catch up. As in the meanwhile, Jordan is still out there. I think he's hoping for a safety car, but by now he's nearly back into the position that he was. So not much gained. Ooh, Mark Schluter having made a mistake in turn 6 or 7, allowing Diego Zorzo to get back into 2nd place and Lighty back in the lead.
Yeah, really interesting there. I think he just really struggled on the exit of turn 4, and that was kind of where it all started. Lighty got an amazing run out of turn 4, was ahead going into turn 5 and 6, and then I think through trying to defend against Lighty into turn 5 and 6, he compromised himself, got a bit crossed up, and then let Diego Zorzo back through.
I also noticed that Cloud has gained a 2nd because of that, so maybe Mark just wanted his teammate to be there, allow him to get a little bit closer. Now at least Cloud is in the slipstream. Not in the DRS yet though. He's 1.1 seconds away. His battery is charging, and now he's losing a bit of time again. But it's definitely allowed TF10 to get into a bit of a better position. So maybe that might have been strategy.
Possibly. I mean, we'll never know. Unless one of them's on the podium, we can ask them.
Yeah.
Which, you know, at the moment, it's looking good for Mark Schluter and his chances of being on the podium in this race as Lighty continues to lead the way, followed by Diego Zorzo, and then that man, Mark Schluter. But Modesto Mena is putting a bit of pressure on Mark Schluter and making him feel a little bit on the vulnerable side. You know, so Cloud, he might be catching, he might not be quite in that DRS range yet, but Mark Schluter certainly is feeling a bit of pressure, I think.
You've got to switch to Tim Tornimo versus David Martinez because they are angry at the moment. They've been bumped several times right now. Tim Tornimo dived David in turn 4 and nearly destroyed Giovanno's race in the process. Thankfully, just backed out in time. And then David has decided to not be friendly to Tim anymore. And they were bumping tires all throughout turns 5 through 10 especially. But now they've created a bit of a gap again, but they are definitely on each other's throats at the moment, as opposed to the top 4 just peacefully driving around behind one another. Back behind them, it's getting a bit more angry.
Indeed, but it could get a little bit more angry towards the front now because Mark Schluter is just 2 tenths behind Diego Zorzo, who's 3 tenths behind Lighty. So we could see quite a few changes in position here in towards turn number 1. Diego Zorzo pulls out of the slipstream and alongside Lighty and ahead. What can Mark Schluter do? Can he do the same? He's going to have to try it around the outside. They go side by side. Not much room left for Mark Schluter, and Lighty keeps that P2 spot, doesn't fall to 3rd. Now Diego Zorzo back up into that P1 spot. Lighty doing a really good job to have defended that place from Mark Schluter. Some really good car positioning there from Lighty there. But Mark Schluter once again feeling vulnerable to Modesto Mena, who had a little look and kind of maybe a half look, but I'm sure you will have noticed this as well, Frost. Cloud and that entire gaggle of cars is back in the mix.
I was about to say, Mark and Lighty, I think, as well, have gotten their wish of having their teammates back in the fight. AMR will be overjoyed as well, because both of their cars are back into the fight for the win as well. Secretly, Tim Tornimo is in the middle of them too. He is also within the top 9 fight for the win. Marcel Pabst is a little bit too far back to get involved, as are Tristan, Poe and Thomas. To get into the win, fight for the win actually. But yeah, these drivers are at least happy to have their teammates in the mix. Modesto and Diego, of course, are all on their own to claim that victory right there. They've got nobody to properly cooperate with other than the drivers around them, hoping that they will help them keep the other drivers behind. There comes Lighty once again with Mark Schluter as well. Where are they going to go in turn 1 with so few laps remaining? Sooner or later the gloves are going to have to come off, but for Mark Schluter they might have come off already as he tries to get past Lighty, who refuses to let him through, allowing Modesto Mena to get a proper move on the Red Bull right there, but he's gonna get boxed in by the Red Bull and the Ferrari, allowing him to go absolutely nowhere. Or is he? Is he gonna try go around the outside in turn 4 anyways and say, screw it, you can box me in, but I'm gonna get past anyway. And he almost does as they go still side by side. He has to he's forced back out of it as he goes onto the curbs, nearly losing position to Cloud as well. Cloud almost going into 4th place. Now the gloves have come up on lap 25 and a half. Cloud gets past into 4th place. TF10 now have 2 cars in the top 4. There comes Aaron Raminguez getting past the Williams as well. Modesto Mina from 3rd or almost 3rd position. Now down to P6. There's Giovanni Kennis trying to get back into the top 6 as well. They are all over the place right now. TTM also want to have more cars into the top 5 to fight for the win. But Aaron is absolutely not allowing them past. The top 4 is getting away a little bit due to the fighting in this group right here. But for now then, the TF10, 2 cars trying to ready themselves for victory.
Yeah, this is really interesting now. What has happened in this last lap? Everybody has suddenly really put the afterburners on and now all of a sudden unleashing every bit of pace they've got. Now, Giovanni Kennis ahead here as Lighty overtakes Diego Zorzo as well. So one TTM has made a move. Can the other finish their move? Oh no, it's gone to disaster. Commentator's curse. Giovanni Kennis has gone around. That'll go definitely to the steward's room there because that was a little bit nasty as Tim Tenemo falls to 7th now as he's overtaken by Modesto Mena. But it is really heating up now and it is going to be a very boiling end to this race.
Another 10-second penalty this time to Paul Villegas for ignoring yellow flags. Another penalty there that was unnecessary. As you can easily see the yellow flags out on track. That yellow flag, of course, was for Giovanno's spin after fighting with several cars in his group. He's now definitely out of contention. TTM back down to 1 car, and they'll be hoping that 10-second time penalty will get removed. Otherwise, they will miss their 2nd win of the season. For now, TF10 are looking strongest with 2 cars in the top 4. And Raminguez is still within a shot. So is Modesto Mina, and several drivers behind, all the way down to 7th place. Got a shot at victory tonight, but just 3 laps to go. It could still be anybody's game. Once again, onto the main straight right there, into the pit wall. Make sure to not push those pit boards out of those pit guys' hands right there. As we go back into turn 1, they all remain in position, or do they? Yes, they do. Except for Aaron Raminguez, who tries to go around the outside and the inside of Modesto Mina there into P5. Actually stays into P5 as he tried to get past Cloud, nearly allowing the Williams to get past. In fact, sorry about that mistake right there. Cloud though retaining 4th place. TF10 still looking strong. 2.5 laps to go. When is the proper attack going to come for the lead of the race?
Oh, you got to ask that question because definitely, there's not much pressure for them to overtake Lighty because he's got that penalty. But, whoever can get themselves behind Lighty, if he does cross the line first, is going to be the man that's going to inherit the race lead, at least provisionally, unless that penalty gets removed. But they don't know whether that penalty is going to stay or go. Neither do we. So I think there's going to be a real battle to try and take that P1. But Lighty, I think, is trying to run off a little bit into the distance here, as that gap now hovers around 8 tenths, now nearly a second. If he can get that gap to 1 second, that would be huge.
Yeah, Nordic also thinking the penalty might be removable, but we'll still have to wait and see. In the meanwhile, Lighty is actually starting to pull away fast from the group behind with 2 laps to go, though. Once again, DRS for all the cars behind him. There comes Mark Schluter. Where is he going to go? Around the outside or the inside? In turn 1, he's going to try and force himself around the outside. Diego, though, is having absolutely none of it. Mark needs a good exit, but he can't because Diego closes the door. Modesto Mena, in the meanwhile, gets past Tim Ternimo up into P6. Tim Ternimo tried to get past Modesto there for P6, but he couldn't. Stays in 7th for the time being. Now, the kilometers are counting down with 1.5 lap to go. They're still in the same position as they were the previous lap. So for sure, next lap, the gloves are going to come off properly. And chaos might unfold on lap 29.
Indeed, I think chaos will absolutely unfold with the final lap just a moment away. Another 10-second time penalty for Jordan, who finally comes into the pit lane as we head on to what will be one of the final laps of the race. Onto a new set of soft compound tyres, probably going for that fastest lap you would have thought. But, you know, oh well, it's not like they're going to get any points for it as far as I'm aware. But exactly as been said in the chat, TTM penalties are almost a tradition at this point. And I can't agree more. So many times are they in a great place to really get a massive handle on things, and a penalty comes their way, and it just all goes upside down and pear-shaped from there. But we are on the final lap of action now. 3 wide into turn number 1. Mark Schluter wanting to try and take the win. So is Diego Zorzo, who now leads the way. Mark Schluter in second, then Lighty in third place. So at the moment, it is going to be Diego Zorzo, who started on pole, who wins the race. Now the battling continues. Cloud trying to make the move here on Lighty, who's running out of battery. In fact, he hasn't got really any battery to fight with here, so he could be slipping backwards just the entirety of this final lap time here. That's an outrageous dive down the inside from Modesto Mena, who's trying to get the move on Aaron Raminguez, but we are getting very nicely through this final lap of action here as Modesto and Aaron Dominguez do squabble, and Aaron runs off the track, doesn't give up the place, and now down the inside. Oh, that is a lovely move from a man who needs that place to capitalise on what his teammate unfortunately couldn't due to those issues all the way at the start of the race. But now Modesto Mena, Tim Tanemo, both having overtaken Aaron Raminguez. He'll fall to 7th, but round the final couple of ends we go. Diego Zorzo, he started on pole. He will finish the race in P1, but it wasn't that easy. Mark Schluter, second. Cloud in third. Then Modesto Mena, Tim Tanemo, Tristan de Herbecourt in a 6th place that was very unexpected, I think, for VRM today. Then Aaron Raminguez, Marcel Paps, David Martinez, Thomas Lang in 10th, Lighty, Giovanni Kenneth, then Patrick Dagmeyer, Youssef Goat, Herman Polyakov, Pau Villegas, and then Jordan will be the final man to come across the line. Wow. Maybe not quite as chaotic on the final lap as I think I was expecting it to be, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, and of course, while TF10 did not get the win, I think they did get the most points tonight, so they will be ahead in the standings and claim the lead in the championship, and that will be the first time since, well, I do not know when exactly, but certainly the first time this season as FVR lose their championship leading position, with only Diego Zorzo technically finishing in the top 10. Of course, Thomas Lang finishes 10th on penalties from other drivers alone, but I think there will be some FIA inquiries left, right, and center, so some positions might change. So these results for now are definitely provisional. Diego Zorzo, though, wins from Mark Schluter from a Cloud in 3rd place, so well done to him.
Indeed. And you can see him here taking to that podium, and what a good podium it is for him, and a well-deserved one at that. And I'm sure we'll hopefully be able to hear from him in a moment and hear what he has got to say on this race, full race classification in a moment. Let's just let this cutscene finish. I forget how long the podium cutscene is. Come on.
It's really long.
It is really long. All of this just for me to go take it away with the race classification.
There we go. Diego Zorzo winning then, and the fastest lap along with it too. An extra point for them. Mark Schluter in 2nd place, then Cloud in 3rd. Modesto Mena finishing 4th. A brilliant result there for TES. Maybe some more on the back potentially. Had he not been involved in some incidents. Tim Tonimo then P5 from 15th, brilliant result. Same goes for Tristan Derbeck, some proper points there for VRM. They needed that from 17th especially. Aaron Raminguez with the penalty finishing in 7th, then Marcel Pabst in P8. David Martinez P9 from P8 as the start. Thomas Langland from 18th to P10, so not bad at all. Lighty then with the penalty for now, P11. Giovanni Kennis P12 after the spin. Patrick Dekmai P13. Yusuf Goat 14th. Herman Polyakov P15. Paul Viegas 16th. And Jordan last of the finishers. Without the fastest lap despite freshest tires in 17th and last.
Indeed. Well, thank you for taking us through the final race classification. I'm hoping we can hear from our top 3 in a moment.
We do, yeah. Looks like we got a race winner.
We do indeed. Is he on PlayStation? No, he can't be on PlayStation. We're PC.
We're on PC, my man.
I've see, this is the struggle of having done console for so long. You get used to things like that. But let's hear from Diego Zorzo, your race winner today. Hello, Diego. How are you?
Very fine, very fine. How are you?
Very good, thank you. We've had a very great race to cast over. Frost, kick off the questions for me.
Yeah, I mean, you were under pressure tonight as the only driver for your team to be in the top 10. Did you hear anything from Thomas to begin with?
No, to be honest, I saw he had a bad quali. He was much faster in practice, so that's unlucky. And yeah, shame I couldn't work together with him because we had the two TF10 pretty close. But yeah, I did my maximum, and that's it.
Yeah, your maximum was good enough for victory, but you said it yourself, TF10 was putting on some pressure. At which moment in the race did you feel that pressure the most?
Probably the last few laps because I knew Cloud had a 1 lap pressure soft. So I was thinking maybe he would have passed Mark and he would have tried to overtake me, but in the end they didn't. So we managed to keep them behind, and that's good.
Then, of course, there was Lighty involved in the battle for the win as well. Do you think that even that without his penalty, he would have had a shot at the win tonight?
Yeah, I would have. I knew he was fast. I was letting a gap just so he could drive around and I could save some tires because tower was pretty high this race. But I felt relieved when when he got the penalty because I knew despite that he was really fast and he could have definitely challenged me for victory.
Right, then next week we've got a mystery Grand Prix. I'm not sure if you're racing, of course, but for your team's sake, which track do you hope it will be?
Well, for my team's sake, I don't think I'll drive, but I mean, hopefully, I don't even know, Monaco, for example. Why not? Full rain Monaco.
Monaco, well, let's find out. Byron, anything from you?
No, absolutely nothing from me. I'm just thinking about the chaos and carnage that Monaco would be. If that is what it is, wow, that would be quite something.
Right. Well, Diego, thank you so much for joining us, and well done on the win, and some proper points for the team there.
Thank you. See you next time.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Right, well, lovely. Always good to hear from our race winner. We will also hear from our second and third place drivers. Let's try and hear from our second place driver now. Mark Schluter joins us in the commentary box. Mark, can you hear us?
Yes.
Lovely. That's always a good start. Well, pretty crazy race from a team perspective. A good opportunity, though, to get some good points on FER with one driver quite far down the order. But from your perspective, you had to make quite a few ballsy overtakes and a few quite big dives down the inside. Pretty crazy final couple of laps. Talk us through it.
Yeah. I had to be aggressive in the first stint, so happy that worked out. Last 3 laps I was just trying to get ahead of Lighty because I don't know if his penalty is removable or not, just in case. And I was trying to get in front of Diego, but yeah, I missed the apex in the last corner, and so I was further behind than I would have liked. So yeah, I mean, still P3 and P2 for the team is a very good result.
Yeah, and in terms of that result, it will see you ahead of FVR going into the next race. Obviously, when you looked at the qualifying results and you saw Thomas so far down, was this kind of you had to kind of play it a little bit more conservatively, knowing that there was an opportunity to score more points than them, or was it kind of the same of we'll just do absolutely everything we can?
Yeah, I mean that helped us quite a bit. But I still just go race by race and just go for it if I see an opportunity, without crashing the other guy out or touching him or whatever. But yeah, I think it's good that that FBR probably only had one car to date that was fighting for a top 5 position.
Lovely. Any questions from you, Frost?
Yeah, I asked this to our race winner as well. Mystery Grand Prix next week. Which track are you hoping for the team?
I kind of hope
one, I know.
one I'm good at, but yeah. Let's see. I don't have. I mean, my favorite track is Canada, but I will have to see what it will be.
Yeah, we're curious as well.
Yeah,
Let's find out. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I love you asking this question, Frost. It really does stump people, and it's also good to hear what they want, right? Because there's probably going to be none of the tracks that they say. Let's hear from the third man on our podium, Cloud for TF10, and you can kick off the questions on this one.
Sure thing. Cloud, welcome. Congratulations on your podium. First outing for the team, by the way. So, how do you feel?
It was pretty good. I definitely think it could have been slightly better, but yeah, pace felt amazing. Not ideal qualifying, but better than I expected, to be honest.
At which point, because you've been up and down there pretty much, there were some incidents here and there. At which point in the race did you think, oh, it might be over now?
To be honest, there weren't too many actually. I don't think there was any point where I really thought it might be over.
Okay.
Maybe when I was chasing for DRS, but besides that, not really, since the pace was very good. So yeah.
And then pretty much the opposite of that question. There were, of course, some opportunities where you might have tried and take the win. Which point in the race did you think you were the closest to victory?
Probably before we went 3 wide into turn 1. I was like P3 or P4. That was probably the closest. That was like lap 10 or to 15 or something. I think that was the closest. I think once I got into P3, it was kind of just like there wasn't any movement, and it was really tough to get through the field at the beginning. So probably, yeah, the middle stint before the 3 wide.
And then, of course, the big question that I've asked Mark and Diego as well. Next week, there's a mystery Grand Prix. Which track would you like to see?
I mean, if Silverstone hasn't been done, then yeah, probably that, or maybe Spa, probably, or Abu Dhabi as well. That's a great track, so yeah.
It looks like Abu Dhabi is the final round, but Spa and Singapore are not on the calendar yet, so there might be a chance for them. Yeah, so well done on your podium, especially for your first outing. You must be proud, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I didn't expect it to do this well going into my first round, so yeah, happy with it.
Right, cheers. Byron, anything from you?
Yeah, I think one thing from me, it's kind of more of a statement, not too much of a question, but you qualified 4th on the grid. How in your mind is that not a good qualifying? How especially when you out qualified your teammate? How do you kind of think there was more on the table?
I mean, the lap felt good, but just like in practice, like 3 days ago, I was doing like 0.9s. So obviously to a 0.2, 3/10 off is not ideal, but yeah, there's just more on the table. It could have been higher, even like if it's a position or 2.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and go and enjoy the evening and your very first podium for TF10 and CSS.
Thank you.
Well, that was a really interesting insight. And we've got 3 ideas for very different tracks for the next round.
Very different.
Very
yeah.
different. But hey, that's what happens when you get the teams to have a little guess. But either way, what a round of action that was. That was really a whirlwind.
Yeah, the championship is still wide open and a great start to the year actually for this series. Once again, we're well on our way in 2025 now, and TF10 is now leading the standings, at least without any potential penalties applied. Well, you'll hear from us sooner or later what those penalties are going to be. Keep an eye on that one for sure. It might change the results a little bit. And of course, all eyes now on next week for this mysterious Mystery Grand Prix. Which race is it going to be? And the more important question, when will the drivers know?
Indeed. Well, they'll find out as we begin to ready up for the race next time out. We'll be going racing from 8 o'clock as per usual. Then we have Austria, Mexico, Singapore, China. Then we have another one of those mysterious mystery Grand Prix, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi to round out this season. And I am really looking forward to this season. I think we really have got such a good season ahead of us, and well, anything is on the table here, and well, we certainly have seen that tonight with some of the display of driving we've seen. It really has just shown how much everything is still up for grabs.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward. We're only a third in. We still have a long way to go. Anything is still up for grabs, even for the teams in last place. They can still technically claim the title. Let's find out whether they can turn things around. I think all of that's left to say for us now is thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like on the stream, and of course those previous streams. Tomorrow we've got the same race for you, but then in the console division. I keep reminding myself to say console, not PlayStation or Xbox, because they've been combined now. But yeah, some more racing then to look forward to here in CSS, and then onwards we move to the Mystery Grand Prix.
Indeed. Well, until we return, we've got a Mystery Grand Prix this time next week. But see, I nearly just did the same thing. Console kicks off tomorrow. But until we return, when CSS heads for a mystery round, take care. Bye-bye. Stay safe. We'll be back very, very soon. Take care. Bye.
Welcome back to the competitive sports series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Move them down up top. Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NVR. A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a